everyone, my name is Laurie and I'm joined today by my fellow Arsenal fan, my good friend Lee Judge is here in the iconic Tollington. The perfect place if you're in North London when you go to the game, pre-match, post-match. This is the place to be, man.
100%, like, I'm glad you said Laurie, because I thought, like, you know, you've gone on some massive diet there, like, you know what I mean? I was worried, like, you know what I mean? But
no,
it's good to see you, man. Good
yeah,
to see
you, man.
Like, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we, you know, chopped it up a bit quite a few times on the Talk is Cheap show, me, you and Curtis.
Yes,
and
yeah.
I've always said, mate, you're one of my favourite AFTV personalities.
Wow, look at that.
And
like,
I'm not just saying that because...
No, and I've always said you're my favourite brother out of the Lyles, you know what I mean?
Well, okay, let's get down to business. Now all the niceties are behind us. Today, I thought we would discuss the Arsenal's win, very briefly, against Man City. Seismic win, statement win, as you were saying in pre-show there. For me, that win has opened up the title race for me. That was the biggest thing I took out of Sunday, apart from the hoodoo not beating him since, 2015?
Yeah.
But the biggest thing for me to come out of that was the fact that now Arsenal are showing themselves to be true title contenders.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a good point. And I'll be really honest, this is the first time on Sunday that I went to the game thinking, genuinely, we've got a real good chance of beating them. You know, like, there's been more, like the last few times, hope, you know, but I genuinely felt confident that we was going to beat them. Maybe because they had a couple of players out, but let's just say about this, couple of players out. As soon as we beat them, City didn't have this player, City didn't have this player.
We didn't have De Bruyne.
When we played them at here in the league, we didn't have Jesus and we didn't have Partey, probably our two best players. No one turned around to them and said, like, oh, well, we didn't have those players playing, we didn't have... You play with what's in front of you, you play with what you got, and that's what we did. We had players missing, by the way, on Sunday as well. And... you know, like, it was a bit of a... if I'll be really honest, I looked at the team when I said, I'm going to be really honest. I thought, oh, no, maybe we're not going to win this. But when I watched the game and I've looked back at the game now, I thought we handled it really well and it was a statement win for us, you know. And what I really liked about it more than anything was I see the arrogance of Manchester City dwindle. I'm being really honest with Laurie, you know what I mean? I remember, you know, all wanting to shake hands with Shinchenko and all that when they beat us, trying to rub it in. When it was the other way round, reacted a little bit differently to what we did, like, you know. Walker, like, and Haaland, you know, getting involved. And I loved it because it rattled. You know
what? That's a good point, because I can remember a few years ago, they beat us at the Emirates. Kevin De Bruyne scored, and I remember him giving an interview to Match of the Day. I remember this clearly, and he was saying that was one of the easiest games he'd ever played in. And I thought that was quite disrespectful for him to say that. I was quite surprised coming from De Bruyne, who I normally seem to be a fairly placid and nice guy. So he was even on it.
Yeah. So like, at the end of the day, what I always like that is when you rattle teams. You know what I mean? Like if, and I think that they know that we are a serious contender now, and that's why they were a little bit. Listen, I didn't say it's nowhere near of the Man United Arsenal games, because Man United are a much bigger club and you know, like a bigger fan rivalry and bigger fan base and everything like that. But Man City are getting there. They're not there yet, but they're getting bigger every season. You can't.
Well, they are the treble winners. So
treble winners, so you have to give them respect for that, like, you know. But I see those little rivalries sort of building up now. A little bit of, you know, Ben White and Foden, Ben White, and definitely something, by the way, has happened with that, in that England squad, because he seems to be like having beefs with all the English players.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like he had beef with Grealish as well, didn't he? But like, there's those little things happening, and that Robbie, like that Laurie, right, is what you want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Listen, we are on their case, mate. I mean, last year we finished runners up to them. Fair enough. They picked, you know, wouldn't say they beat us.
Fair and squarely, like, you know,
but I mean, for a large part of that season, we were there or thereabouts. We fell away at the end. We all know that. But come the Community Shield, we beat them there. Okay, it was on penalties, and now Sunday we've beaten them at home, and I think we deserve the win. And like I said, for me, the biggest thing I took from that was the fact that the title race is now wide open, because there's a few teams that are also going to stake their claim, and we'll go into that. So we'll look at the table in a bit more detail, a little lot. But let's look at the top four as it stands now. Spurs,
Did you have to mention that?
Oh, yeah, I know, I've got to do this, but we got to say they're in first place currently. We're in second, City third, Liverpool in fourth. And that's not forgetting, you've got some good teams, you know, from fifth to eighth. So you've got Villa in fifth, Brighton in sixth, West Ham in seventh, Newcastle in eighth. So I'm pretty sure that all those teams that I've mentioned, all of them will have something to say in terms of the title race. If I could just say briefly, and I know we're going to talk about it in more detail, you've heard me read out those 8 teams. Who would you imagine that's going to be fighting it out come May next year?
Well, I think that obviously like Manchester City guaranteed, obviously ourselves and Liverpool. I think like they're the 3. But I unfortunately do think Spurs will be in there because they've set off a good pace. They've started off well. They haven't got the Champions League football. I still think that's a massive thing. I really do, like, you know, intense games playing like, you know, for instance, Arsenal's next 3 games are Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday. And they are Chelsea, you know what I mean, Seville away, and then Sheffield United at home. So 3 games in 7 days. Back to back, intense sort of stuff. Tottenham's have got 2, Fulham and Crystal Palace. Now,
I know what you're saying.
You can
no
see
disrespect,
like,
but
no, I'm not disrespecting anybody there, but that is quite a comfortable, and they've got that over.
Or shall we say less difficult?
Yeah, it's less difficult, and they've got 7 days for those 2 games, so they can rest, relax.
Good point.
And go again. Where for us, we play on a Saturday against Chelsea, massive difficult game, London Derby, as we know, away as well, and then like you've got to rest on the Sunday or recover on the Sunday, train on the Monday, travel to Seville, play the game on that. The following night on the Tuesday, get back, recover, and then go again on the Saturday.
Again.
So it's very, very difficult. Now, if you have a look at all of those teams, Manchester City have got to do that. Liverpool got to do that because they're in the Europa League. Brighton are in that mix as well. Newcastle in the Champions League. And Aston Villa, as you said, are in the conference. So, and West Ham, if you're going to bring West Ham into it as well, they're in the Europa League. So every team that you said there has got European football playing in the midweek apart from one team. So it will be an advantage.
See, this is why we got you on the show, mate, because you know your stuff.
I know my stuff, thank you very much. Don't even
have to prep nothing.
Don't have to prep, just reels it off.
Yeah. No, but everything you said there is correct. So the fact that Spurs have got no European football allows them to rest players, rotate, get ready for games. And
anybody that turns around and says, oh, this would be this and that would be that, I think at the end of the day, from Spurs' point of view, they're very much in the mix, like, you know.
They will be.
For Arsenal, are Arsenal in the mix? Yes, definitely after Sunday. But what Arsenal got to do, and probably like you could say with a lot of teams as well, we've just got to keep the form going, keep playing well every week, and see where it takes you. You know what I mean, Laurie? At the end of the day, we're in October at this moment in time, second international break. It's a long, long way to go.
Oh yeah,
long, long way to go. But listen, our run so far, we've taken on Man United, we've taken on Man City, we've taken on Spurs in that little group of games.
Well, let's look at the teams.
We've come out unbeaten.
We have, yeah. We have us and Spurs currently unbeaten. But let's look in more detail at those teams that I've mentioned and what they've done so far. So it's Tottenham, first place, played 8, won 6, drawn 2, lost none. The Brentford, they played draw 2-2. Man United win, Bournemouth win, Burnley win, Sheffield United win. The game with Arsenal was a draw. Liverpool win and Luton win. Tottenham, what do you think to them then?
Do you know what? Looking at that, people will say, they've played a few like teams there that I would expect Arsenal to beat, but going away to Tottenham, you'd take a draw.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, they've beaten everybody they should have beaten, and they've not lost to the teams that maybe you think that they would lose to. Like, you know, I would say like Liverpool, Man United, they've had at home, and they've beaten them. So you have to give credit to that, like, you know.
I'll give them credit, but you know what I would say, and I was saying this to one of my Tottenham mates the other day. Yes, I do have a couple of Tottenham mates, not too many.
No.
Horrible, they do. How can I put this without sounding slightly disingenuous? They've enjoyed a bit of luck on the way, haven't they?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Sheffield United, they got their last minute goal.
100%. But you have to have that little bit of luck, don't you?
The decisions in that game.
The decisions in the Liverpool game, I honestly think that, that they were fortunate in that game, because I think if it stays like 11 against 11, I thought Liverpool were looking very, very good. But at the end of it, it's not Spurs' fault they're getting players sent off. You know what I mean? All right, forget about the offside goal. But that was one of those things. But what I will say with Spurs, what worries me about Burnley away 5-2. They've got. I know, like Luton. You know what I mean? Like, come on, they're down to 10 men. You're thinking maybe.
And Luton had some very good chances in that game.
Yeah, but Spurs had good chances.
Yeah,
as well.
I've got to say, in the first 10 minutes or so, I think Spurs could have had that game out of sight.
So they've beaten teams that you expect them to beat. If I'll be really honest. So listen, the Man United game, that could have gone either way in the first half. Even Spurs fans tell that. Second half, Spurs took over. But, So
do you think that they're on merit, top of the table?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, and the game of our ground, they were good, I've got to say.
I thought they were slightly better than us, if I'm being really honest. Yeah. Mainly in the, but...
I think I would agree with that, actually.
Yeah, and I've spoken to a few of my Spurs mates, and I ain't got many of them and all that as well. But they were saying it was a sort of missed opportunity because of the team that we had out. You know what I mean? So, from our point of view, I think with the players that we had out that day, we got a draw and we just moved on from it. But as disappointing it was because we was leading. But from their point of view, listen, they've gone to the Emirates and not lost, so they'll be pleased with that.
They'll be pleased with that, yeah.
But listen, they could be tough. With that batch of fixtures, it could have been a lot tougher.
Yeah,
but
it could.
even so, if you look at Man United, they've not been as they've been as tough as that. And we haven't mentioned Man United in the title running, have we?
Yeah, they're done, mate.
They're done. They're cooked.
No, they're out.
You know what I mean? So, right.
Well, let's move on to Arsenal in second place. Played 8, won 6, drawn 2, lost none. Unbeaten so far in the league, although he did come a cropper in the Champions League to Lons, but we won't dwell on that. So our first game was against Forest, 2-1 win. Wasn't our greatest performance, but we deserved the win. Away to Palace, I was at that game, deserved 1-0 win, went down to 10 men, came through. Fulham was disappointing, draw 2-2, should have beaten them, couple of silly mistakes. Man United win, very good, 3-1. Everton win away, broke the hoodoo, that was good. The Tottenham draw we spoke about wasn't our best performance, but I thought on balance we did well to get the 2-2. Bournemouth slapped them up 4-0.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was easy work. And of course a great win against Man City. We'll keep it brief, but I think that we both agreed that Arsenal, we've announced ourselves as genuine title contenders. And I would imagine, mate, that we're on course to do something big this season in the league.
Yeah, listen, we should. But I think out of that, two more points we should have had, and that was Fulham. You know what I mean? Fulham down to 10 men, 2-1 up. We should see that out, but made mistakes on that day. And I think Arteta has a little bit to blame for that, because there's a little bit of stat talks about the goalkeepers and all that, but I
know you tell the people. Well, I know you've said this on many occasions. You're not too impressed with the old goalkeeping situation.
No, I'm not impressed with it.
Keep it brief, but
keep
tell
it
the
brief.
people
I just
why.
feel that I don't think that Aaron Ramsdale deserved to be dropped. And when everybody talks about Raya coming in, I have not seen a massive yeah, he's a better goalkeeper. I don't see hardly anything in it. People then hit me with stats, he hasn't conceded these goals and that goals, and this is where I go on to Mikel Arteta.
Now, I've got to be honest, I do agree with a lot of what you say there, but I've got to keep it real. One or two people have told me that where you sit in the ground is in close proximity to some of Ramsdale's family. Now, I'm just going to ask, do you think that may have influenced your feelings somewhat?
No, I don't like it. Honestly, it don't like it. Obviously I do. I don't sit next to him or on the left. I don't. But I have obviously met Aaron and that. So, but that's got nothing to do with it. I also, I just think.
Do you think he'll leave?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe in January or. Definitely at the end
I don't
of the
think
season.
this situation is
because at the end of the day, I
sustainable.
don't think he's done anything wrong to be dropped. And what I say is, and I mean this sincerely, if he had been dropped and Raya comes in and he's been absolutely outstanding, I will go along with that. Then people turn around and go, "Oh yeah, but he hasn't conceded as many goals and all that." But he didn't have Thomas Partey playing right back and Gabriel not out of the team. Since Gabriel's come back into the team, right, our defence has got stronger. Why? Because he's a very good defender.
Yeah. For me, the best centre-back pairing in the league.
Yeah. So why was he left out in the first place? I'll never know. Like, you know what I mean? I don't really know what happened there. Since he's come back into the team, we've not conceded so many goals. And I just listen. We could have, you know, got done on Sunday because of poor goalkeeping from Raya or whoever. Looked very, very shaky in the first half. But listen, at the end of the day, the manager's made that decision, and that's what. The one thing I will say, what I don't like about it is, I don't know why he's lied about it. Oh, well, you've got 2 goalkeepers who are going to rotate. No, you're not. You've made your choice, and so just be honest. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because he even said something, and I'm not criticising. I'm just sort of just putting it out there. Oh, when Ramsdale, I've always thought that I wanted to change my goalkeeper at half time. Well, after that first half, why didn't you then? Because it was like a shocking first half performance from him, like, you know.
But what I would say is Raya does appear anyway to be more comfortable with the ball at his feet, and I think that just looking at things the way I'm seeing it.
That's true. That's what I'm saying. Listen, at the end of the day,
no, I think that's why he was brought in. So I think it comes down to the way the manager wants to play.
This is how I say it. Forget about the goalkeeping situation. Forget it. I've actually walked away at games at the end of the season or last season and during the summer and said, right, where do we need to improve? The goalkeeper was never one of them, right? The centre forward one was.
Yeah. Right.
I've been saying it for 2 years now. Nothing against Eddie, because I'm just saying he's still a good player and a good squad player and does everything and all that. But really, if we're going to win the league, what do we need to improve on? And I think centre forward up front, right? I've never ever gone, we need to improve on the goalkeeper.
You know what?
I'm still saying
so hard
it now.
To disagree with that.
I'm still saying now we've changed the goalkeeper, but I'm saying now if Arsenal are genuinely going to win the league, I think we need to upgrade on that forward area.
Good point. Okay then. So I agree with you there that Arsenal, despite some frailties, some issues.
Yeah.
I think we're on course to really put in a.
And also,
proper,
just one thing.
Yeah, go
on. We ain't playing at our best at the moment.
No, we're not. We're not at our fluid best.
And we're not at our fluid best.
But we haven't lost yet.
And we haven't lost. We're unbeaten. And Tottenham are having a wonderful season. And we're on the same points.
Well, they're still on a victory tour after that draw at the Emirates.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, let's have a look at Man City then. Played 8, won 6, lost 2. The beaten Burnley, Newcastle, Sheffield United, Fulham, West Ham and Forest. Come a cropper against Wolves that was surprising. And of course, we beat them. So that's back-to-back defeats. Do you think that some of the wind has been taken out of their sails and that they could falter this season, or do you think they'll recover it? And
too good to recover. Yeah. Too good to recover. I think when you look at that that's what you expect apart from the Wolves game. Now, the Arsenal game, you could go the other way and everything like that. But that was the shock for me. That was the thing for me. And they've got that in their locker every now and then against one of them. Normally when they play the big teams, they're right up for it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you think well, they never put in that performance against Arsenal or whatever because they're up for it or whatever. Yeah. But I
think it's the pressure. The Premier League is such a minefield, and this happens to us as well as Arsenal, big London club. You go to these teams, man, and they're proper up for it. I've been to Wolves. 100%. Well, you've been to Wolves many times. It's a ground where, the fans get behind the team. Yeah. And on any given day, there can be a real handful.
Listen, I totally agree with you on that, Laurie. If you're not up for going to Wolves, you will get beat.
Yeah.
You will get beat. And maybe they're not quite up for it. I think Rodri's a big loss for them. They've lost all 3 domestic games with him in it. They've had 4 games. Obviously, he played in Germany.
Yeah.
Because he was allowed to. But he lost at Newcastle. That was his first game ban at Newcastle away. Wolves away and Arsenal away. Now, at the end of it, if you're going to lose Rodri, you don't want to lose him on all 3 away games. Whether you're Man City or Arsenal, whatever, you don't want to lose your best players for 3 away games. In those 3 away games, it's Newcastle and Arsenal, you know what I mean? So if we're going to wait to Manchester City and we're going to wait to Newcastle, I don't think we're going to get 6 points from those 2 games, right? So when people start saying, "Oh, it ain't really," you know what I mean? Like, you know, normal service, you know what I mean, has been resumed.
Yeah.
They've beaten Newcastle already in the league, but that was away from home. They look at that, and the League Cup ain't the end of the world, and they've lost to Arsenal, which they can make up further down the line. The one is Wolves, but you know, listen, when Pep makes mistakes, no one says nothing. Like, you know, I couldn't believe, you know what I mean? You've got Grealish, £100 million player, didn't even come on against the Arsenal.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? And he's a top player. And I think, like, you know, you're playing.
Sometimes you can have too many, mate.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But for me, Grealish would 100% start.
Yeah. Oh, he's a brilliant player. But, you know, like you said, Pep, he does things his way. But it's interesting with City. I'm going to move on from the City thing. But up until they beat Forest, so up and when they beaten Forest, so I think that was 6 games in. So before the Wolves game, people were actually saying to me, "Listen, man, that Invincibles record could go."
Well, yeah.
And then lo and behold, Wolves beat them 1 week, and then we follow it up and beat them the following week.
Listen, I think, like, you know, it just shows you how hard it is to go unbeaten.
And of course, they'll be battling on other fronts as well, the Champions League, domestic cups. But
yeah, and they've got their best player out.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. You know what I mean? Like,
you think De Bruyne is their best player? Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
You know, you say about that a couple of years ago, and I will say that. Yeah. Someone said to me, "Oh, he's a great player, isn't he, De Bruyne?" I said, "I don't know. It was like a training session out there for him, wasn't it?" You know what I mean? Let me know when he plays against a decent side, like, see how he can. But when he does play, like even last season against us, in those 2 games, he turned up, scored in both games.
Yeah, he seems to like playing against you.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And he's a big time player. So, of course, they're going to miss somebody like him.
And he'll be back at some stage.
He'll be back in January, yeah.
Okay, moving on then. Who we got next? Liverpool. Now, Liverpool are an interesting one because they kind of tailed away towards the start of mid-season last season. But towards the end of last season, they picked it up. And this season, they're looking good as well. They've got a couple of new signings, Szoboszlai, people like that. They're looking good, man, I've got to say.
Listen, Liverpool from
played 8, won 5, lost 1, drawn 2.
Yeah, because they only lost the 1 game, haven't
That's
they?
right, to Tottenham. And even that was under GB circumstances.
Listen, I think all last year, Liverpool, everybody was saying Liverpool needed to improve on their midfield. Needed to prove this to it. And they've gone and done that.
They have.
What I say I like about Liverpool, I don't like Liverpool, but say like what I like about Liverpool. A couple of years ago, they needed to improve on their goalkeeper, and they went and done it. They needed a central defender, they went and done it. Spent a lot of money doing it, and got the rewards from it. Need to strengthen midfield, they go and do it. When there's a weakness at Liverpool, they do eventually sort it out. And their firepower up front is frightening if it clicks. Yeah. If it clicks. I don't think Sahara's the player he was 2-3 seasons ago, but he's still a top player. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't think he's going to get to the heights of that. But Núñez frightens me because I think I see a player in him, and I think he's still a little bit raw. But if he actually clicks, I think he's going to be a player.
Diaz is back.
Diaz is a good player. He was a good player when he first came back. So they've got a front three, and then you think, right, well, okay, one of them drops out. Who are you going to bring in? They've got Jota.
Yeah.
So they've got some serious firepower.
And you know what it is for me with Liverpool? To me, this season they look re-energised. Remember last season, about this time last season, people were saying they looked a bit tired. I mean, you know, Klopp, the way he's got them playing high energy and stuff like that. They were looking a little bit jaded.
Yeah.
Bit frayed. But this time around, they're looking.
They've said
they're looking like a force to be reckoned with.
Have,
so
and
I would imagine they will definitely be there or thereabouts.
I believe so as well. And of course, they've got the other thing. They've got Klopp. Knows what it's all about. You know, love him or hate him, he's top.
No,
class.
I like Klopp.
I like Klopp. I think he's top class.
I think he's good for the Premier League.
I think he is. I liked that he come out that week and said, "Yeah, the game to replay." No, it wasn't going to be replayed. But do you know what?
He's a character.
When it happened with us, we didn't do nothing, did we?
Yeah.
Against Brentford, you know what I mean. So I'm glad that he said that. Listen, Anfield's a tough place to go, so they're going to be there and thereabouts without a shadow of a doubt.
Okay, then, so that's your top 4. I'll run through the next 4 briefly. Villa, now they're interesting. They're currently in 5th, played 8, won 5, drawn 2, lost 1. Obviously, we know about their manager, Unai Emery, very good manager. He seems to have got Villa, you know what I mean, back up and running, and looking good. Now, do you see them as a possible title threat, or do you just think that?
I think I can see him getting into the top 4 this season.
Yeah.
Really pushing for that. You know, Villa Park, always a very, very tough place to go. Great fan base, fantastic fan base. Home and away, one of the best away supporters, I have to say that, the Villa. And at home, always, you know, difficult to play against. They love Emery. They love him.
Yeah, they do.
They really want him. It was a difficult time when he was here for obvious reasons, but, you know, right time, right fit, everything for Villa.
Does he also strike you as a man with something to prove? I mean, we know what happened at Arsenal. Didn't quite work for him in the end. We know he's a good manager, but sometimes clubs are not the right fit or at the right time, and I think that's what happened at Arsenal.
I think that
he is a good manager.
I think so. And listen, the one thing with Emery, he never really was wanted here, was he? If I've been really honest, he wasn't. He wasn't, because, you know, he wanted Zaha and he got Pepe. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I heard when he went up for his restaurant meal, he wanted steak and he got chicken. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't everything he wanted. Like, he never got, like, you know what I mean? So I think at the end of it, like, it wasn't the right time and the right thing for him. But he's gone to Villa. Listen, Newcastle wanted him and he turned Newcastle down.
Yeah.
So
I was surprised when he did
I was surprised with that.
You would have thought with that budget, he could have done some big things there.
But he obviously, the Villa project suited him more.
That's what
I think that, you know, so that shows me that he's very, very wise and calculated.
He's got his integrity in it. He's not just going to go for the money.
He's just going to go for the money. He wanted the project so that he could do what he wanted to do. And, you know, Villa are on an up. And listen, I'm going to tell you this now. When people go about big clubs, Villa are as big as Tottenham. They're not quite as big as Arsenal, but they're up there. They're one of the biggest.
Well, you think about
Villa,
Birmingham, second city in the country. There's not that many, with respect to my Brummie boys up there, there's not that many big clubs up there, is it?
No, there's a lot of clubs up there in Birmingham.
But not big ones.
No, but
Villa are the biggest one.
Villa are.
Yeah, you know, you got Villa, Birmingham, Wolves. Who else? You know, I mean, your Walsall.
You got Walsall, Coventry, West Brom.
Coventry.
You know what I mean? We've got the
Villa,
Black
I think, are by far the biggest.
Yeah, without a doubt, they're one of the biggest clubs in the country. You know, well followed. Listen, they've won a European Cup in their day. You know, won the league at Highbury. Not many teams can say that, but other than Arsenal.
So you're saying potential top 4 for them?
Yeah, I would say,
but not a title.
Not quite yet. No.
West Ham, just down the road from us here in North London.
Well, that massive club.
But, you know, on their day, man, they're a difficult team. As they got a draw against us last season. A lot of people said that was the beginning of the end, that draw.
Yeah.
So,
I don't really know. You don't really see a lot there, do you? Like, you know what I mean? So,
well, to be fair to them, they won that European trophy. We took their best player. You sold your star. So, listen, West Ham, to me, they've done well so far. I'm surprised that Moyes actually kept his job. Well, I am and I ain't, because what it is, after they won that European trophy, a lot of the fans, we spoke to Nicky, shout out to Nicky, West Ham, and he was like, yeah, he's done his thing there now, maybe he should move on. But they retained him, and so far this season they're doing well.
Move on to what though, Laurie? Move on to who? No, I'm being serious here, because I think he doesn't get the credit he deserves.
Yeah, you could say that.
You know what I mean? Took Everton, Everton to the top 4 since he left Everton. What have Everton done? You know, well, they've struggled.
He did have that car crash at United.
So but again, like a little bit like Emery, I don't think he was given the right tools for it and all that. Like, you know, I think he had a difficult time at Sunderland as well, didn't he? Like, you know, but he's gone to West Ham. And all through the difficult, rode that difficult storm last season, and guided them to the conference. You know,
that was a great day.
It was a great. That kept them out of the relegation. And this season, I've got to say, you know, to lose your best player like they have, and we know how good Rice is after seeing him this season. They've actually invested the money superbly well, bought really, really well, and you know. I think West Ham will push into Europe again. Like, I think they've got a record 17 games in Europe unbeaten, which is better than anybody. And then people will turn around and say, "Oh, it's conference and all that." But at the end of the day,
that was a big day for them.
Still a massive.
I remember doing the watch along when they won that game, and it was a massive game.
Yeah, and listen, that's been a terrible, like for West Ham fans since 1980 when they beat us at our, I was at school.
I remember that. Yeah,
you know what I mean? It was like, so that's how long ago it was. Not to win a trophy from them. Now, listen, they've been in finals and everything like that, but to get over the line and do that, I think it's a big thing for them. Like, we'll give them a little bit more confidence going into next season.
I think the knock on Moisey is the fact that the fans will tell you, a lot of them, that the football is not great. Sometimes they think that David Moyes should have been a bit more proactive in his tactics. He's tended to go, especially away from home. The emphasis has always been not to lose rather than trying to win.
Yeah.
And West Ham have a certain tradition about the club that they like to play attractive front foot football.
And that's got
and
relegated.
Moisey doesn't always bring you that.
And that's got relegated on a few occasions.
Well, this is it.
No,
but to be fair to them,
like,
this season, the 8 games they've won 4, drawn 2, lost 2, and the teams that they've lost to are Man City and Liverpool. So it's not like
no, exactly that.
Right.
Like, teams you would expect them to lose to it. But listen, I think when you play at their ground, it's not the greatest ground to watch football and everything like that, but they use that to their advantage. And listen, they're a dangerous team.
We got them in the
in a couple of weeks in the
cup. I'll be at that game.
I'll be at that game as well. So
looking forward to that.
Take your binoculars, wouldn't you? But
be a good day out.
It's always good. It's always tough.
Yeah, it's a good day.
West Ham are always tough. You know what I mean? And so they'll be there. I think they'll be pushing this season.
Yeah.
Europa League again, and I think that they will do really well in Europe as well.
Yeah. Brighton, it was remiss of me. I did miss out Brighton. I should have come to them before I came to West Ham. But Brighton, now that's a team that they kind of come from nowhere over the last couple of seasons, man. But they give anybody a game on their day.
Listen, the players that they've lost, Laurie, they're still producing, And the only reason that I think they're struggling a little bit is because of the European games as well. Like their first trip into that, Brighton in Europe. Would you ever have thought that? You know what I mean? No, I never would have thought that. No. I've always seen Brighton as a if they're a team, even back in the day, when it was in the Football League, they were one of those teams that battling relegation. I remember getting to the cup final in the 80s, playing Manchester United, and then getting relegated as well. So for them to maintain what they're doing every year.
Oh, it's great.
Is unbelievable.
The amount of players that they turn over.
The amount of players they turn over. Yeah. And the manager, when Graham Potter left, you think, oh, well, that's it. I did think that, you know what I mean? They brought in this Suzuki, and he's done it absolutely. He's been
amazing.
Unbelievable.
I'm surprised he's still there, to be honest.
Wow, incrable.
But he's doing a good job. They play attractive football and they score a lot of goals. I mean, I'm looking at some of the teams they've beaten. They beat Luton 4-1. They beat Wolves 4-1. They lost to West Ham, but they beat Newcastle. They beat United. And they're putting threes on these teams. They beat Bournemouth 3-1. Okay, they lost to Villa 6-1. But they do score a lot of goals. They play attractive football. And as I said, on their day, they're more than a match for anyone.
Great result that for West Ham away from home. You know what I mean? So,
and finally, out of that top 8, let's look at Newcastle. They're in 8th place. Played 8, won 5, lost 2, drawn 1. But that doesn't tell the whole story.
No.
Because they are a very good team, as we've seen in the Champions League. When they put it on Milan, they're a very good team.
4-1.
Sorry, PSG.
Yeah, 4-1.
PSG.
4-1.
I know.
And we're going mad because we beat PSV. You know what I mean? But they've beaten the main PSG.
Yeah, and they deserve that win as well.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Stuck it on Sheffield United, 8-0. I mean, Okay, they expected to beat Sheffield United, but 8-0 away from home as well, that was. So they're a good team, man.
I think they're a good team. Listen, and they should have beaten Liverpool, they had chance after chance.
Beat Villa 5-1.
Beat Villa 5-1.
And they got some very good players. And they got the budget. So,
And going to Newcastle, it's it is...
I must admit, I've been to Newcastle a few times, but I've never actually been to the ground.
Never been there?
What's it like there?
It's
they put you up in the gods.
They put you up in the gods, which is not the greatest thing, but for the atmosphere and the buzzing. It's one of those places that's unique. Because you go into the town, the actual city is right where the stadium is. So
that's right. Yeah.
So when you go in there,
I've been on a couple of nights.
Everybody is wearing black and white shirts. It's an incredible sight.
So one club,
one city club.
Yeah.
And when you go there, they're up for it. The atmosphere is is good, and the team at the moment is playing the football. When we went up there, because of the takeover and that, the feel-good factor. A couple of years ago, there wasn't a feel-good factor back in Newcastle. True. That's come back. with their fans. They are unbelievable, their fans. I've got to say that, and with that support and that backing, Newcastle they're playing some really, really good stuff.
What do you think of Eddie Howe as a manager?
I like him.
I like him.
I like him. I like his. I like his demeanour. I like the way he goes about things.
We've got some very good players there. Isak, I like.
Yeah, I think Bruno.
They've got Tapali, the Italian guy.
He's done really, really well.
Tonali, is it? Tonali.
Yeah, he's settled in really well for him. Lost Harvey Barnes, which is a big blow.
Yeah,
because I think he's a good player.
He was a good signing.
But they've got good wide players. They've got
they've got Bruno Gomes, who we were allegedly interested in at the time.
Joe Linton, who I think's he changed his career and path. Unbelievable,
Joe Willock.
He's unfortunately been injured,
what
I mean? But has nicked a few goals. So listen, they're going to be up there.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this now: don't write them off for Champions League as the real dark horse for it. You know what I mean? Because
actually, you've segued nicely onto that. We're going to wrap up in a few minutes. Your top four. Give me your top four. Based on what you've seen so far.
Based on what I've seen so far, I think that...
Because we can only go by that, really.
Man City, Arsenal and Liverpool, I still think will be that. And I think it's out of Tottenham and Newcastle and Aston Villa. Right? But I'm going to, unfortunately, say Tottenham at this moment because they've had a good start and they haven't got that European football. I think that all... Listen, I always say this, and I'll say it again and I'll say it at the time. 3 teams last season that were in the Champions League are not in it this season. That's Liverpool, Chelsea and Spurs. They're not in it this season, you know what I mean? I think European football's a big, big thing.
No, I agree.
And so Tottenham haven't got that, so that gives them a little bit of an advantage. If Tottenham don't get it, I think Newcastle will.
Okay.
What about you?
So say that again. So tell me your...
I'm going to go Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool.
Is that in terms of how they're going to finish? So you think City will win the league then? I'm putting you on the spot now.
At the moment, at this moment in time, despite us beating them, I'm still saying that they're favourites.
So City, Arsenal,
Liverpool,
Tottenham. And Tottenham. Interesting.
Don't forget, there's 5 places up for grabs this
year.
Yeah,
that's true.
So
could be 5, yeah.
So I'm
it's a difficult one, because there's obviously some very good teams in that mix. I think if I'm being honest, I'd love to be able to sit here and say Arsenal are going to win the league, but you still have to make City the favourite.
Yeah, I do.
Although I do think we are going to, it could come down to the last week. Man.
Yeah.
It's going to be
and also
close.
January. I think January, if Arsenal buy all we hoping that they buy, then maybe it might be the one thing that gets us over the line. So,
there's all sorts of things to throw in the mix. You've got injuries, loss of form. You've got the African Nations Cup coming up. They've got the Asia Cup coming up. Son's going to be at that. African Nations and people like that are going to be there. City, I'm sure they'll have players.
Yeah, so we need to address that, don't we?
Yeah, so...
Where are you going for? You're dodgy, you're a politician?
I'm going... Similar to you, I'm going to go City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and I'm going to go Newcastle. But I do think that Tottenham will be a threat. But I just think that they're going to fall away. I think they've enjoyed some good fortune, if I'm being honest, to date. I do think they're a good team. They've got a new manager. They're playing better, more attractive football. They've got a lot of hype behind them right now. But I do think at some point that's going to dissipate. And I do take your point about the European football. That does give them an advantage. But I just think that Newcastle got a stronger squad, and I just think that they'll be...
Yeah, Newcastle...
They've got the edge for me.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue that.
Yeah. But I do think it's going to be very competitive this season. And like I said, that win... You know what? The whole of the Premier League should be thanking Arsenal.
Go on.
You know why? Because like I said, beating City off the back of them losing to Wolves, that's dropped 6 points from them.
Yeah.
So
listen, what that has done, I think, Wolves done it, because what Wolves done was they told everybody.
They were the first ones.
They told everybody in the league that they can be beaten. That give us a little bit of confidence going into that now. Now I don't know. I think they've got I don't know who they've got next game. I think it's Brentford, I'm not sure. But whoever they've got next game, Rodri will be back. And it'd be interesting to see how they react from that, like, you know. But listen, let's give everybody confidence and say, right, they're not unbeatable. They are, if you get at them and you rattle them, that they can break. And I think what I liked about it, as I say, I go back to what I said earlier on the programme. When they lost, look at the reaction to them. You know, that's a team that's just going, oh, it's just a blip. They were rattled. I love it.
And my last question to you today, Lee, what do we need to do in January to make sure we get this across the line? Well, we will be there or thereabouts, but there are going to be moments in the season where we're really going to need to.
Yeah, I think probably we need to strengthen up front, but Mikel will probably strengthen in the goalkeeping area again. You know what I mean? I don't know. Go and buy another goalkeeper. No, I think that maybe.
Who would you like to see come in as
someone of Ivan Tony York, someone like that. Just you think like on that game on Sunday, Jesus I thought was brilliant on the wing. So he can play on the wing, he can play up front, or he can play wide left. He can play all three positions. That's unbelievable, like, you know. If you had him playing on the wide right, Saka was out, as you say, and then Tony was playing in that game. I think that it would have been a bit better for us, and that's nothing against Eddie. If Arsenal, if you said to me now, and I'll be really honest with you, this Martinelli, Jesus, and Saka play every single game in the Premier League, right? I think Arsenal will win the league, but we know that can't happen. So you've got to spread it around a little bit, like, you know. But them three are sensational. But you need someone else. So say, like, if Saka's not there, you can put Jesus in there. Tony can come in. The next game you say, oh, I'm going to rest Martinelli and put Jesus out there, or you can rest Tony or whatever. But those three, I think, would get us the title. But all three of them, you know, are not going to play all the time.
I agree with you with that, and I also agree that someone like Tony would be massive for us.
He also gives you a plan B as well.
And because if you look at the team, in almost every area, you know what I mean, we've got the players that can do the job. I mean, the goalkeepers, okay, we've got the goalkeeping situation that needs to be resolved, but they're two fantastic goalkeepers.
You haven't got a problem
the back
with
four.
No.
That speaks for itself. The midfield with Declan Rice.
Well, you've got Partey coming back now.
Partey, you know what I mean?
You know, that's as good as midfield Laurie's anywhere.
Yeah, and then you spoke yourself about Saka and Martinelli and guys like Trossard and people like that.
Well, yeah, you've got Trossard who can come in.
The one missing piece is we need that prolific, what I call hitman striker.
Yeah, I do think that. I think we've always said that. That's nothing against Eddie, because Eddie done fantastic.
No, I'm an advocate for Eddie.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
But I've got to be honest, he's not at that.
If you're going to win leagues
level.
and Champions Leagues, Eddie's not going to do it. Like, now, people will turn around and say, nor is Ivan Toney. But what I'm saying is Ivan Toney will get you closer to it. I don't know if he'll get you to it. That's another question. But, like, when I look at, say, like, Ben White, you leave Ben White out at right back and you replace it with Tommy Asu or Tommy Asu on the left-hand side, there's not much of a drop-off. Rice and Partey, if one of them plays and one doesn't, there's not much of a drop-off. Goalkeepers, as we said. But I think Jesus to Eddie is a big drop-off.
I have to say I agree. And on that note, bro,
no worries.
Thank you very much.
I've very enjoyed that.
It's been a pleasure chatting to you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Been a pleasure being in the Tollington.
Yeah.
Like I said, guys, if you're looking for a match day experience, get down there before and after the game. You were in here on Sunday.
I was in on Sunday.
It was rocking.
It was rocking.
I was just speaking to some of the staff here, and they were telling me they've never seen anything like it.
Well, I got in here after I'd done everything, about 8 o'clock, and I left here about 9. It was like, we left about 9, and it was still buzzing in here. Like, it was still packed. And like going past it before the game, it's one of the great. And one of the
proper place, isn't it? Old school.
A proper place. And one of the greatest things about it is a lot of the players drive past it.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
And they always undo the windows, give it a bib, and shout out. Like,
no, it's a crazy atmosphere.
And it's fantastic. Like, you know what I mean? So it's a great place to come, as it is coming to the Arsenal. Like, you know what I mean? So
it is, man. Everything's good right now. Let's hope it stays that way. But we do want to kick on and get over the line and win the title.
Chelsea next, tough game.
Absolutely, but it's one that we can win.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, without doubt.
Okay, guys, thank you very much for tuning into this version of Invincible podcast. My name is Laurie, he's Lee. We are out. Take care. Thank you very much.
No worries.
The Invincible podcast. Myself, Robbie, and Lee Judges come together once a week to discuss all things Arsenal. Straight talking, considered discussion, brought to you by the fans of the only club in Football League history to go invincible.